We are continuing today in the fourth chapter of Mesillas Yesharim, titled B'derech Kinias HaZehirus, the way in which we are to acquire the midah, this attribute, this character trait of Zehirus. And the Ramchal writes as follows: Hine ma shemevi es ha'adam el HaZehirus hu limud haTorah. The Ramchal says, what leads us to the midah of Zehirus? Remember, the midah of Zehirus being one of awareness, an awareness of where one is going, an awareness of one's actions, an analysis of what one does. We spoke about pre-actional analysis, actional analysis, post-actional analysis. So what brings a person ultimately to a sense of Zehirus is limud haTorah, learning. V'humash amra Pinchas betchilas habraisa, Torah mevia l'idei Zehirus. Pinchas ben Yair said this himself in the Gemara, that learning Torah brings one to this state of awareness. Amnam, al derech prat hamevi lazeh, who is bonenus al chomer ha'avoda, asher chayiv ba'adam va'omek hadin aleh, v'yetzi lo zeh min ha'iyun b'masim aksuvim b'sifrei ha'kodesh, u'min ha'limud b'ma'amari chacham zichron livracha ma'orim al zeh. So the Ramchal introduces us something very interesting. He says the power of Talmud Torah, right? All of us know the importance of learning Torah. So the Ramchal is introducing that when a person learns Torah, they become more aware. They become more aware. Then, in other words, they intensify their midah of Zehirus. There's a certain level of analysis, analytical awareness, or spiritual awareness that comes about when a person is steeped in Torah. Now, the Ramchal then goes on specifically when one learns about the different passages of the rabbis, different Ma'amari Chazal, that speak about living life with this sense of awareness. He goes on, he says, V'hine yesh bes bonenus hazeh ha'aros b'hadraga. L'shlei mehadas, so this is interesting. So the Ramchal says that cogitating over these things, in other words, this hisbonanos, thinking about, in other words, what the Ramchal is saying is like this: Torah. What does it mean that Torah brings us to a sense of Zehirus? Torah forces us to be contemplative. Torah, by definition, changes us when we learn it. So when we say that Torah leads one to Zehirus, what it really means is Torah leads one to a sense of contemplation. To a sense of contemplation. Torah conditions me to be a more thoughtful individual. The Ramchal says this thoughtfulness, this hisbonenos, this Zehirus, manifests itself on three levels. To what he calls the Shlei Hadas, those who are of we call a more refined level, Bechusimehem, those a little less refined, Ulechol Kulo, and those even less refined. Three different categories of people. L'shlemi hadas, tialem ha'ara b'mashi yizbar lehem, ki rak ha'shlemus hu davar haroi, sheyachmed mehem, v'lo zulas zeh. So for the shlemi hadas, for those who have refined character, they recognize that at the end of the day, that shlemos, becoming a complete individual. Tialem ha'ara b'mashi yizbar lehem, ki rak ha'shlemus hu davar haroi lehem. What do I want in life? When people are more refined, what he's calling Shlemi Hadas, they recognize that I have one simple goal and aspiration in life: to become shalom, to become complete. Complete doesn't mean to become perfect, but complete means just that, to refine myself more and more. And therefore, conversely, there is nothing worse than being deficient or incomplete. And therefore, once a person who is, we'll call Shlemi Hadas, seeking this level of completion, once he or she realizes that the way to come to that level of completion is through good deeds and good character traits, a person certainly will not want to diminish those things. Because so again, the Ramchal says over here, so just to kind of put this all together, the Ramchal explains over here, we're trying to figure out how do I acquire the midah of Zehirus. So the first thing that Ramchal said is learning Torah. Learning Torah. Now, specifically, it's sections of Torah that force a person to focus on their mission in this world, on the importance of their actions, the ramifications that their actions have on who and what they are. So the Ramchal says, now there are three categories of people. This first category called Shlemi Hadas. Shlemi Hadas are people who aspire for personalistic refinement, people who aspire for personalistic growth. So for these kind of individuals, they're going to discover for themselves what is the right path, what are the things that I need to become the best version of myself, and those are the things I'm going to do. And what are the things that will derail me from that? Those are the things I'm going to avoid. Alkein, lo yivcharu el laharbos mehem lahachmim b'chol tanaim v'lo yanuch v'lo yishketu midaga midavar pen yechsar mehem ma sheyagiu osam el hashtemos Hashem chafetzim v'hu ma she'amar Shlomo HaMelech alav hashalom ashrei adam mefachi tamid u'perish zichron levracha hahu b'divrei Torah. So the Ramchal says, again, this group of Shleimei Das, what they are going to be hyper-focused on is, what is it that I need in order to become refined? What is it in order that I need in order to become the best version of myself? And when I find those things that will allow me to be shalom, that will allow me to be complete, those are the things I'm going to gravitate towards. Those are the things I'm going to focus on. And conversely, when I discover the things that are going to derail me from that personalistic shleimus, those are the things I'm not only going to avoid, I'm going to run. I'm going to run from him. I'm going to do everything in my power to avoid those things. Vihine, sof zos hamadrega hi nikra yiraschet shehi min hameshubachos shebemadregos v'hu she adam yori tamid v'doik pen yimtza yimatze biyado eze shemet schit shiakvu min hashlemus asher hu chayav lishtadel ba'avuro. So Ramchal explains that the truth is this higher level is called yiraschet. And what is yiraschet? Literally fear of sin. It doesn't mean just a fear of doing something wrong. It's a fear of engaging in activity that is going to derail my dynamic growth. And if something is going to derail my growth, I'm going to run from it like no one's business. Alken muzachon levracha, al derech hamashal, melamid shekol echa nichva michupaso shachavero, ki ein zeh mitamakino, asher tibarak bechasere hadas, כמו שאחדו בסייעתא דשמיא, אלא מפני ראוסו עצמו חסר מן השלמות מדרגה שיכול להשיגו, כמו שהשיגו חברו. והנה הכל על פי הסבונינוס הזה, ודאי שלא יימנע השלם בדעתו, ליאוס זוהיר במעשיו. So this is interesting. So again, we'll get into this drasha that he quoted over here, this Gemara Maseches Bava Basra, but the idea that Ramchal is saying is the person who are Shleimei Das, those who truly value reaching this level of personalistic refinement and this personal growth. So again, it's not just the pshat that they're going to avoid activity that could derail their life growth. They're going to run from it. They're going to go the other direction of it. He goes on, ach lepchusemehem, tiar lefi havchanasam. So that's the first level of people, what Ramchal calls Shleimei Hadas. Then there's the second level of people, which are called pechusemehem. They're less than Shleimei Hadas. Okay, so who are these people? He says, tia ha'ar lefi havchanasam, v'hu lefi inyan hakavod asher heim mis'avim lo. V'zeh, כי זה פשוט עצל כל בעל דס שאין מדרגות משחלקות בעולם האמיתי שהוא עולם הבא אלא לפי המעשים שלו יסרו מהם שם אלא מישהו רב המעשים מחברו. So this is very interesting. Whereas the first category of people, the Shleimei Hadas, are individuals who are motivated by personalistic growth. They simply want to become the best version of themselves. That's what they want. And they will do anything and everything in their power to be able to reach that level. The next level down are people who may not be motivated by this, but they are motivated by essentially like a sense of jealousy. Now, what do I mean by jealousy? So these people know that in Olam Haba, in the world to come, your station in the world to come is directly related to how much you've accomplished, which means if someone accomplished more than me, they have a greater Olam Haba. And there are some people for whom this jealousy, this kina of someone else having more than them. Now, interestingly enough, this is not like a material jealousy. This is a spiritual jealousy. That spiritual jealousy ultimately spurs them to become something more, to do something more. And therefore they're concerned that if they don't do enough good in life, they're going to have a much smaller portion in the world to come and less than their friend. He goes on, he says, so this is incredible. So for this next level down, this individual now is concerned, is scared. He doesn't want to have less than his fellow in the world to come. So this is interesting. So while some people compete to have a nicer car than someone else, or a nicer house than someone else, or a better vacation than someone else, this next level down, I don't want to have a smaller olam haba. So it's not as pure, it doesn't have the purity of intent as what we call the shleimei hadas, the first level people, but it is a person who recognizes that you reap what you sow. And in the world to come, I want to make sure that I have at least as nice of a portion as the person next to me. And therefore, by definition, I don't want to be left out. I don't want to be left out, and therefore I will try harder to make sure that I lead a good life. We'll stop over here for today, and in Meretz Hashem, on Matzah Yontav, I will record Tuesday's shir. We now have to get into the third level of individuals, Pechus Semehem, who are even one level down. Meretz Hashem to be continued. Wishing everyone a wonderful day and a good Yontav.